After a long rest in the city of Memphis, Egypt, Alexander set out on his Babylonian campaign in the year 331 BC. By this time, he had won a decisive victory against Darius III at the Battle of Issus only 2 years prior in 333 BC. Reeling from this loss, Darius's forces were significantly weakened from continued fighting and had to be recuperated in order to re-engage with Alexander at the coming Battle of Gaugamela. Having denied the diplomatic request by Darius to withdraw from Persia, Alexander began his march north along the coast to make his way further inland of the Persian Empire. Utilizing the previously captured cities of Tyre and Gaza, Alexander maintained his forces well in the long march. Darius, knowing of Alexander's movement, began to amass a great army in Babylon for his next engagement with Alexander. In an attempt to slow Alexander's advance, Darius ordered Mazaeus to go forwards and defend the Tigris River crossing. Mazaeus, failing to do so, allowed Alexander to cross the Tigris River and was detected in the process, leaving both armies on a collision course near the city of Gaugamela.
Darius needed a victory at Gaugamela. Facing Alexander in the heart of Persian territory, the future of his empire, the very empire his ancestors worked so hard to create, lay in the balance. Darius would not suffer the sting of humiliation again. It was time for Darius to reassert himself and show Alexander why he is worthy of being called King of Kings.
Darius chose an open field for the Battle of Gaugamela to avoid an outcome similar to that of Issus, where the narrow battlefield left his large army practically useless. Alexander had a slight altitude advantage over the Persian army, and used it to maintain distance and observation while his army rested. Expecting a surprise attack in the night, Darius held his troops in formation, which left many tired and unfit for battle the coming morning. Choosing not to attack in the veil of night, Alexander allowed his men to rest for the morning to come and prepare themselves for one of the greatest battles of antiquity. On the morning of October 1st, 331 BC, Alexander readied his men in a defensive line facing the Persian forces. The sheer manpower difference was staggering. Alexander's force is estimated to have been just under 50,000 men, while the Persians were estimated to be nearly 3 times the size at 120,000. Knowing this, Alexander situated his companion cavalry on either side of his phalanx infantry to protect from any flanking attempts. Darius began his assault with a probing attack on Alexander's right flank, which was met by the Macedonian king and his notorious companion cavalry along with a unit of infantry to support the fray.
Whilst Alexander was occupied on the right flank, Darius seized the opportunity to engage his charioteers and made a daring charge at the center of Alexander's formation.
Severely underestimating the Macedonian infantry, the chariots are quickly engulfed by the line and are left destroyed or routed.
I have brought news, Shah Darayavaush, great king, king of kings, of Media and Babylonia, pharaoh of Egypt.
All right, enough already. Tell me, what news do you bring from our cavalry commanders?
My lord, the pretender Iskander is engaged in combat on the left flank. This may be an opportune moment to strike, otherwise he may—
I will not be outmaneuvered by a paltry juvenile. Send word to the remaining cavalry to attack the other flank, and our mortals shall fall upon this interloper's army and scorch it with the light of Ahura Mazda.
Darius launched a massive cavalry charge at Alexander's left flank that engaged with Macedonian companion cavalry and heavy spear infantry.
With either side of Alexander's flank distracted, Darius viewed this as the perfect opportunity to rush Alexander's center in hopes of breaking through.
However, in doing so, Darius left himself exposed for a deftly timed cavalry charge from Alexander. Alexander noticed this opportunity and rallied his companion cavalry to charge at the Persian king. Devastating contact, the Persian center is routed and Darius flees the battlefield just as he did previously at the Battle of Issus. Although Alexander briefly pursued the fleeing king, he realized that his men on the left flank were still in heavy combat and turned back for a devastating charge on the unsuspecting Persians. Just as Alexander arrived to assist his left flank, the remaining Persian forces began to rout, one by one, leaving the Macedonian king triumphant over Darius once again.
The King of Kings, devastated by his loss at Gaugamela, rode for the eastern satrapies in an attempt to rally another army. However, one of his satraps, Bessus, would betray him and order his assassination. Alexander would make it a point to hunt Bessus in retribution for what he believed was a worthy foe, and buried Darius with proper honors and Persepolis.